Space Invaders is an arcade game that was released by the Taito Corporation in 1978. Considered the first blockbuster arcade game and the start of the golden age of arcade gaming, Space Invaders' seemingly simple game design and setup had revolutionized the gaming industry. Many of the game mechanics in Space Invaders were the first of their kind. Before its release to the public, older arcade games lacked the capabilities for detail such as destroyable environments, dozens of on-screen enemies, and a high score system. Being one of the first games to have a dedicated microprocessor, the developers had more room for extra detail, giving characters images, animations, and sounds. This made it stand out from earlier arcade game attempts and helped gain consumer attention by the masses. Another huge change that came with Space Invaders was its concept. Previous titles were all based off of sports games or realistic situations, whereas Space Invaders set up this unrealistic scene of being attacked by alien invaders and left the rest to the player imagination. Due to the fact that there was no real point to the game as it was designed for the player to lose, it started a huge wave of competitive gameplay, as well as started the shoot 'em up genre that would continue to dominate the gaming industry in terms of player interest. Since the game was so successful, dozens of remakes and imitations were designed to follow the example that Taito's Space Invaders had left, including titles like Galaga and Galaxian. It was not before long that Space Invaders became a household name that gamers and non-gamers alike knew of, and even today they can still be seen in pop culture references all over, including areas such as commercials. Many games can technically thank their success due to the guidelines Space Invaders had set. Take for example Call of Duty's notoriously popular game mode Nazi Zombies. While the graphics were enhanced and hundreds of options were added to make it look somewhat realistic, the goal seems oddly familiar to Space Invaders. Anyone who's played this mode will tell you that it cannot be beaten, and it will only get harder the longer you last until you are finally overwhelmed by the incoming zombies. Yet just like with Space Invaders, the dream of setting a high score and standing above the rest of the gaming community involved keeps players coming back for more and more.
Invaders! Possibly from space!
People of Earth, I am Lur of the planet Nintendo 64. Tremble in fear at our 3 different kinds of ships.
Needless to say, I believe that Space Invaders was one of, if not the first game, to show how much potential the video game industry could have if developers dedicated the time and effort coming up with new concepts and mechanics that make it more appealing to the average customer while technology continues to advance over time, causing a transition of games from looking like this to looking something more like this.